Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Yeah, welcome in to another rousing rendition of Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy. Bell the Bodysnatcher on the ones and twos. He, as always, is Corey Walsh.
Hello, and he's Dan Griffin.
And the news cycle just doesn't seem to stop, except it's getting dumber and dumber and dumber as we go. But before I give the show rundown, Corey, why don't you tell the people where they can find us?
Sure, Dan. Libservative Podcast is on all social media podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com, and we can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com.
Go fuck yourself.
Dan.
We have to stay woke.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Kamala's in the news just a little bit, just to touch over the past couple of days.
Who's that?
Selecting.
That's that chick that locked up a bunch of black people for non-violent drug offenses, right? And then when they tried to get out, they stayed in because she liked the free slave labor.
I didn't know she was black.
The only caveat. I think she was I thought she was Indian. She was Indian when she was
just
doing that
about to say she claimed to be Indian. That whole Trump thing was wild.
Yeah, Trump is
a very rude introduction.
Trump is as subtle as a sledgehammer. Like, he definitely does not have any fucking clue on how to articulate a topic like that, because anything that has to do with race is sensitive, right? And that's it. So it's a sensitive issue to talk about the idea that she grew up with an Indian family. She talked about being Indian and all of that until mid or 2010, like the teens era.
So that's something that actually is quote unquote weird, right? You know how that's
right,
new,
but it's tough to talk about because it's technically a right-wing talking point.
What I'm saying is it's weird because that's how, that's the new sort of left-wing trope for JD Vance, right? It's just weird. It's weird that they care so much about gender issues and all this stuff. But
I know
that's weird. It's like, you mean a politician used parts of her identity at various points during her political career to gain political clout? That's pretty par for the course. Pretty sure everybody does that at some point or another. Unless, of course,
Donald Trump is a bad guy. He's a bad person.
For some reason, we're getting bombed with some weird little picture that I can't even tell what it is. But
that's right.
Anyways,
what else?
It was funny because I've been so busy. Just so everyone knows, my wife left me. She's out in Portland. She'll be back. My wife left me. I have a son. I'm a single father right now. But she'll be back. She always comes back. Every time she leaves, she has to go out. No, so the old lady had to go out to Portland for 5 weeks for school. And I won't be here next week because I will be flying into Seattle and then taking a train from Seattle to Portland with my son.
And we'll figure something out.
To go reunite with my wife in some lifetime movie happy ending.
In Portland. Just don't step in any human feces.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you definitely, if you've never been to Portland, it's a lot of fun. But with all the good comes a lot of fucking bad.
Take some booties for your shoes.
Yeah, we have to stay woke.
Thank you, Madam Vice President.
First off, it's very white. Not a lot of different ethnicities out there other than white.
It's a lot of white people bitching about racism.
Yeah. And the streets, I run the street, like I don't run the streets of Detroit. I'm not repping Detroit right now, but I spend a considerable amount of time in Detroit City, who's got a terrible rap. And you see way wilder shit out in Oregon than you do Detroit. I'll be right back. My son needs some help. I'm a single father. Bear with me.
That's right. We forgot to mention that prior to starting the episode here. Corey is figuring out exactly what it means to be a single mother here live today. We'll bring Bella in here while we wait. Oh, hold on. We always click that button at the same time.
We do.
Oh, Corey's back already. So I guess the rest of the rundown is here. We have Kamala Harris picking Tim Walz. We have Kamala Harris being markedly absent from any sort of real speeches or interviews. We have the culture wars rearing their ugly head in such a funny and interesting way to me at the Olympics. We have Biden's prisoner swap, which I was actually surprised he hasn't taken that much shit for. I really thought that the right would get on him a little bit more for that because you know how prisoner swaps go, Corey. Nobody ever does it right. It's never 100%
unless it
right.
was. I'd have to look the people up. I think it was like some journalists and stuff.
Well, that's what we got back. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the people that got sent over there. Like there's so much shit going on. To where it's like that was such a little blip. Like I heard the headline and I was like, oh, that's actually interesting. But then like completely just let it go off into the ether.
Even the anti-Biden culture warriors can't keep up with it all.
Yeah. Man, that sucks. I had a good bit going before my son interrupted me.
You're good. It's totally okay. You don't have a things learned this week, but I do.
I don't actually. I do. And but at first,
you learn what it's like to be a single mom.
I meant to message you, and that's when I was talking about being busy, right? That's how it kicked off that whole tangent. The title of this episode should have been the lesser of. It's not the lesser of two evils this election cycle. It's the lesser of two weirdos. Because now that's like the term that's just being tossed back and forth. You're weird. You're weird. like that's literally like the campaign like strategies right now.
I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah, dude. That's what's fucking happening. Like it was.
I didn't know she was black.
Amy Vance is weird, and now everyone's like, "Oh, he fucked a couch. He's the weirder one," and it's like, what? And then apparently, and then on the outside, not to be outdone, RFK apparently put a dead bear in the woods.
Do you think that was just RFK trying to keep up? Like, was he just like, whatever? I guess I got to get involved in this now.
But
we have to stay woke.
Even with that crazy asshole, that's the least like thing I'm worried about. You know what I mean? With like the alternatives, with like Trump and how he recklessly just helped pass bills or advocated for bills that increased the inflation with his $6 trillion into the system. Or Biden's predecessor, who you don't fucking know what she is actually for. She's not for anything. She stays like a ball on a fucking bowling alley lane that has the bumpers up. Like she just stays in the safe zone no matter what. That's what she's always voted with. That's what she's always gone with.
The person that comes after Biden would be her predecessor.
Yeah, whatever.
You're a single dad this week.
I'm single dad. Okay. My words, it's my lethalogica. But no, I mean, like it's between her, who the only time she's gone out of her safety little bumper zone is when she decided to lock up a bunch of black people. And then she got into Congress and stayed in the safe zone. And then again, back to Trump. You know, he was fucking doing the drone strikes just like everyone else. His foreign policy was dog shit.
Artificially lowered interest rates. All the
he was using the same quantitative easing that Obama was using, and then bragging about the stock market. And that's another fucking thing. When Trump was bragging about the stock market and low unemployment, all the fucking Democrats were going, "Oh my god, but that's not the economy. That's not the economy." Now that until fucking 3 days ago, the stock market was doing great, and everyone was like, yeah, and all the Democrats are going, yeah. I mean, then all the Republicans are going, yeah, but the stock market's not the economy. And it's just like, Come on, guys.
Everybody's an economist when it's convenient. Everybody's an economist now. Before we get into any of that, though, my things learned this week was, have you ever heard this theory about there being an evolutionary reason for why women's cycles sync up? You ever heard this? This is the thing I learned this week.
An evolutionary. Well, okay. So without knowing anything about it, thinking about like the whole process.
I guess I'm weird.
And everything. No, I'm guessing it's because not necessarily when like the babies are conceived, but they're all definitely technically born around the same time. So it betters the chances of all the babies getting fed because some women might be able to lactate more than others.
That's an interesting theory, but that's not the theory I was going with. So apparently,
okay. I thought our bodies may have been smarter.
No, that's actually not bad though, because it's kind of like that. So hunter-gatherers, this is the theory. Hunter-gatherers, all the hunters, right, would obviously leave the tribe to go hunt for food, right? Well, I guess a lot of the hunters would, I mean, obviously some could die, but others would like just not come back. They would just go join other tribes, and the hunters are all men. So what they would do is they would, before the hunters go off on the hunt, they would try to impregnate as many women as possible because you didn't know how many dudes were going to come back. So obviously nature would be at that point where it wants all of the women in the tribe. Yes. Ovulating at the same time. Right. So then that way, when all the men go off to hunt and many of them don't come back, they have as many women impregnated as possible so they can replenish the tribe. So that's why women's cycle. That's the theory. But it's one of the theories behind women's cycles syncing up when they're together.
It's probably like if that was at the very, very beginning, like when even before we were actually humans or something, that would have to be something deeply coded. Because I think it also might have to do with hormones and pheromones and different things like that. And I think that doesn't the moon have something to do with it too?
I was just talking about an evolutionary explanation for why that would happen.
Right.
Would it be like a defense?
That's not like super, like, that's not like in stone, right? That was just a theory.
No, it's just a theory.
Okay.
All right. So here's the theory. It might be a little gross, but like when an animal's in heat, they can be smelt from miles away by other animals. So women naturally syncing up at the same time would mean that there would be less time in a month where predators would be seeking out, you know, in a primal type scenario. There would only be 4 days out of the month where other tribes or creatures would be able to get the scent of that, as opposed to
listen to us. Three.
It could be it could be a combination of all three.
Yeah.
Listen to us, three men talking about the women's menstrual cycle. With all three of us have different
Could have
theories.
cracked the code. Just
And I think it just shows that we really don't know shit about the women.
We have to stay woke.
just three white misogynists talking about women's
No, I wouldn't even say misogynist. It's just funny because all three of us like had like
They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it.
Madam Vice President, calm down. Give a speech.
Oh, there you go. Tell a woman to calm down right after we just had this. Perfect. This is great.
Unreal.
I'm glad I didn't prepare for this show.
I didn't know she was black.
She was.
Those two are going to go at it all show long, probably for months, at least until the election.
Trump and Harris.
Yeah.
When's the first election? Because one saying they're going to the ABC one, and the other one saying they're going to the Fox one.
There's only one election. Are you talking about? Debates?
I mean debates. Sorry, I'm a single dad,
I guess
your head is in a fog.
I guess Trump agreed to a debate.
I didn't know these were 9%.
Dude, the debate thing is so dumb because they are both pissing and moaning over who's going to do it and what channel it's going to be on. And it's just like, I have a real simple solution. Just, I don't know, do it on Joe Rogan. Do it somewhere else. Do it somewhere else besides on a cable news channel.
Yeah.
Because you can't, because here's the thing, like, because a simple solution sounds like, Well, just do two. Do one on CNN and do one on Fox. Do one that's on a pro-Trump station and one that's on CNN station, but then, or on a pro-Kamala station. But then they're going to bitch about who gets the last one, because the second one is the one that everybody's going to remember, not the first one. So now you're still going to argue about who goes on which network first. So it's never going to end.
I hate it here.
It's just like, it's unreal.
I think it's a very rude introduction.
I agree. I agree, Donald. Bell, do you have a things learned this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a random thing I came across. Streetlights are killing the ecosystem.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
No, but streetlights.
Damn it, Trump! Would you be quiet, please?
Artificial light is killing the food for insects. So when they put the street lights on at night, it feeds the trees artificial light, and then they work up a defense mechanism for whatever reason and release more tannins and other stuff into their leaves. Their leaves become tougher. They become less moist, and the insects cannot eat them. They did 30 sampling sites spaced roughly 100 meters apart from each other on main roads, which were usually illuminated at night. They measured the distance of light from the light source to the plant for each plant, and they collected almost 6,000 leaves. And
I got paid just to pick up leaves, like that.
Yeah,
loot.
and they studied the size, the water content, and the levels of actual nutrients in them for bugs, and chemical defenses, like what types of pesticides and stuff were used. But they came to the conclusion that artificial light is making it so that insects cannot eat. Therefore, the insects are dying off. Therefore, the bugs can't eat, and the food chain is being threatened.
That's weird, because like artificial light's been around for a long time at a pretty high level, and they're just now figuring this out.
Yeah, I guess. But
now wait a minute. How the hell are we supposed to change our diet to eat bugs if they can't eat because of our artificial light? Just another reason.
It's because
back to oil lamps, boys.
Well, no, it's that, Dan. That's because the lamps are attracting the bugs to the light, and they're dying, and the predators aren't going towards the light that eats the bugs. When we go to switch to bugs, it's actually going to be a good thing, because then our buffet is outside right in your front yard at the end of the night. So
just catch your dinner. Just catch your dinner next to the front porch light.
I'm pro streetlights on this one, guys.
I really don't know
I'm
what
sorry.
he said
I gotta
at the end of that
I gotta be
sentence.
pro
I don't
big
think
light.
he knows what he said either.
Go fuck yourself.
Now we got Donald Trump and Elon arguing with each other on the show tonight. These guys. Kamala's loving it. She is absolutely loving it. I guess that brings us on to Kamala picking Tim Walz. Walz. I keep hearing it said both ways. The governor
Wales.
Wales.
I
keep hearing the. I keep hearing something in my ear. It's just Donald Trump's voice telling me I'm an idiot. Kamala Harris picking Tim Walz to be her running mate, the governor from Minnesota. And it's really been fun to watch the right's reaction to this. I don't know whether or not Tim Walz is the right candidate. I looked at the three guys. There was him. There was Bashir from four guys, I guess. At the end, there was Walz. There was Bashir from Kentucky. There was Mark Kelly, and then obviously there was Josh Shapiro. And Pennsylvania governor. And it was just like, okay, just choose your bowl of shit, because that's essentially what it's like choosing these politicians. So you kind of choose the smallest one that you can possibly pick. And I think my gut reaction to Kamala picking Tim Walz as her running mate was like, how was the right going to respond to this? Because the odds-on favorite was Josh Shapiro for like the last week or so, that it was going to be Josh Shapiro. I really didn't have the right coming out and calling Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party anti-Semites over it on my fucking bingo card, I guess. But why am I surprised? Right? Because they're trying to paint her as this like pro-Hamas person. And she really hasn't demonstrated anything to suggest that her policy on Israel is really any different than Joe Biden's, or really any different really than Josh Shapiro's or Tim Walz's for that matter. The only difference really is that Josh Shapiro, is being a Jewish man, as you might expect, is a lot more vocal about his support for Israel. That's not a surprising thing. We've seen that through a large section of the Jewish community in certain spots. So like, that's not a shocking thing. So I kind of look at it and go, she chose the sort of perceived progressive, like far left guy. And the reason that he's called that is because he had that weird bill where there's going to be tampons in the boys' restrooms at schools.
Yeah, no,
which I don't even care about, honestly.
No, like honestly,
tampons everywhere. Tampons for everyone. Who gives a shit?
He is, when they talk about radical left, and which, in my honest opinion, isn't that radical. That some people would like at the collective. They would want a collective to like pay for their health insurance and stuff. It's just something that I don't agree with.
Sure,
but that's what the objective left is. And that's literally what he is. Like he passed. I think they got community college in his state. Like he's done a very lot of like left, like social programs. He put his money. You know what I mean? Like he's actually put his money where his mouth is. Like Bell just shared. He owns zero stock. Zero real estate, no bonds. He only makes like $127,000 a year because he chose not to accept a raise.
Yeah, so he's a legitimate like cultural liberal, and I guess that's interesting because like while you and I don't agree with a lot
like
of
some things I do, some things I don't like community college. Right. You know, I just mean the
ideology.
Kids, yeah.
I just mean the ideology side of it. He's at least honest about what he is when it comes to being a cultural liberal, as opposed to being somebody like, an AOC or a Cori Bush who just lost her election 2 nights ago in Missouri. So I guess I'll give him credit there. I mean, there's at least an honesty to it. But what I find interesting about this is the Trump supporters and the Trump campaign to this point have tried to paint Kamala Harris as the lefty, the far left person.
Right.
But also they have shit on her for being a flip-flopper. And as one of the guys on the Reason Roundtable who was guest hosting this week, I think it was Jonah Goldberg, I could be wrong, made a great point of she can't be both of those things. She's either a flip-flopper who has no actual ties to anything, or she's an extremist. Are you going to be able to get a Bernie Sanders, or are you going to be able to get an Elizabeth Warren to be a flip-flopper? No, because they're actual lefty extremists. So this attack on Kamala, there are a lot of things to attack her on. But being a far left-wing person is not it. She's a flip-flopper or she's far left. Oh,
yeah. No, that's what I said.
Things.
Anything she's voted on was in the safe zone. Always.
Whatever made sense at the time. Yeah, she's a chameleon.
And I think, and that's what I was saying. So this is why I think that it makes sense for him being a pick. Because they know no matter how hard they try, she's not the progressive that the young voters will turn out for. No matter how hard they try to paint her as such, she's just not. Like, oh, she voted for Obamacare. Guess what every other Democrat did? She didn't introduce.
But they might show up because she's a black woman.
Well, not even necessarily that. Like, I'm not even ready to pull out like the identity politics of it. I was talking about the fact that the VP is true blue, like a 40-year-old Bernie Sanders. Or however old he is.
He's 60. She's 59, 60. By the way.
Right. And he's just this Midwestern dad with some kids who's a football coach. You know what I mean? Like they picked one that looked like it looked like
a football coach.
Like like what they have. Like sometimes these people that come out in politics, it's so wild, right? It looks like they literally just opened up a cryogenic freezer and was like, "This is gonna be the good play," kind of thing. It's like all of a sudden this perfect cookie cutter person, where Bernie Sanders, was stifled for his whole entire career of getting like anything like truly done that he wanted to, like what he ran for presidency on. Now, basically, just a younger Bernie Sanders is just all of a sudden, boom, VP. There we go.
So
He got coordinated
another
in.
interesting point.
Harris got coordinated in. There was no open convention for the Democratic Party.
He was he is a 60-year-old Midwestern white man.
Right.
So the critique about Kamala Harris being a quote unquote DEI selection for Joe Biden back in 2020, which she was, like, it's not a crazy thing to say. She was chosen for the color of her skin. Whether or not she was the person for the job didn't really matter to him. Guess what?
What's up, quick double tap?
Tim Walz was picked for the same reason. Tim Walz was picked based on his immutable characteristics. This man was picked because he is a Midwestern, I guess later middle age at this point, because he's 60 years old, white man. That's why he was chosen. This wasn't like, look at all of the like, what was it? What did I just said all the final five. It was Josh Shapiro, white guy, Mark Kelly, white guy, Tim Walz, white guy, Andy Beshear, white guy.
And then the two in the rings, or in the outer wings, was
Gretchen
Gavin
Whitmer,
Newsom,
white woman.
guy, and then a white woman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is not an abnormal thing to choose somebody based on their immutable characteristics to get a certain voter base in to vote for your candidate. Now, it's strange when they do it with the VP picks, because VP picks just generally don't end up mattering.
Yeah. You're reading quick
double tap. Yeah. She's hardly far left. She doesn't want to make the state on all the utilities. Well,
it's been a minute since he's been on, but I believe he's the one that's out in the UK area. It's like
how are the quick double tap? How are the Muslim versus anti-Muslim riots going out there? I don't know what part of England he's from, but
I don't know if it was England.
It was.
Was it England?
Birmingham, correct? Correct. Quick double tap.
Damn, you remember that? Do you have like notes on all of our listeners? That's good for you. If you don't, it's even better.
He said it right here. He said he said it. I don't know. He said it somewhere. He's the guy from the UK.
Oh, friendly friendly neighborhood Englishman. Maybe I just skimmed it and didn't absorb it, and then my subconscious is like, "Yeah, he's the UK, bro."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I got to play this. I got to play the clip from Ben Shapiro, because this is probably the only thing we haven't talked about yet. Why do you think the right is freaking out about Tim Walz? It's not because he's this lefty because here's the thing. If he's so far left, couldn't he be the guy that's easy to beat if you're on the right?
I don't know. It depends on how you play it. Like if a true leftist came out and played straight class, said, forget race, it's about class. You're all workers, you're not the bourgeois.
Look at Ben's face at the beginning of this video.
He's like, I'm pissed.
He's like, I'm getting ready to argue with a child. Here we go.
In order to please a base of people who are radical, she has opened herself up wide to every attack on her radicalism by picking Tim Walz. See, there was another pick that was available, and everyone sort of expected that person to be picked. That person, of course, was the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro. Pennsylvania has 18 electoral votes.
Is he related to Ben Shapiro?
Josh Shapiro has a 61% approval rating in Pennsylvania. Very easy pick. Super, super simple pick for Kamala Harris. And we know why she didn't pick Josh Shapiro. And the reason is because he's a Jew. It's that simple.
Because he's a Jew. It's that simple. I don't even need to play the rest of this video. So here's what's so
Hey, Bell, real quick,
funny.
Look up Waltz's approval rating.
It's good. He's actually very popular in the state of Minnesota. But
I was going to say,
Ben Shapiro's point is that Josh Shapiro is a very popular governor in a state that Kamala has to win the election. But what did he just do there? He did the same thing that right-wingers have been doing since October 7th, when before that, the lefties were the identity politics people. If you disagree,
and then
or
it flip-flopped, and now it's the right.
if you didn't approve of or if you didn't support a black candidate, you were immediately racist, and he would call you out for that, as he rightfully should have at the time.
And then October 7th happens.
He's doing the same fucking shit. The same shit.
Yep.
He wasn't chosen because he was a Jew.
Yep. We're watching everything flip-flop, dude. It's wild. It's insane.
Dude,
it goes back to what I
this
just
is-
mentioned about the economy.
This is horseshoe theory at its finest, my friend. You go far enough left, you go far enough right, you end up in the same goddamn place.
Yeah,
And
that's where we're at right now. A good old-fashioned horseshoe moment.
Ben Shapiro is absolutely, and this is, I've had debates with my friends that are farther to the right, and they actually want to try and make this sound like it's different. They want like it isn't the same thing, right? Because one of my buddies brought up a point about like, well, if the left was going to play those identity politics games for the past decade,
yeah, no, they did it for a lot longer. Sure,
I would do the same thing to make it look as ridiculous as it actually is. And I said to him, I went, okay, I would have respect for that if there was like an air of sarcasm behind people like Ben Shapiro when they say these things, but that's not what he's doing. He's just doing the same fucking thing that he has bitched at the left for doing forever. And as I said before, rightfully so. The identity politics game is bullshit.
I think it's finally coming to an end.
Do you, or is the right just doing it now? Because the pendulum swung back to their side.
Jeez, you know what though? A bunch of conservatives online aren't nearly as loud as liberals. So I'd prefer them to be the ones bitching about identity politics, I guess.
Your face looks so fucking creepy right now.
I know, because the light.
You gotta get a better shade in there, my friend.
I know. Every time I look up blinds, it brings me to some website about blind people.
Yeah.
That was a dumb one.
Corey, where has Kamala been? Operation Bubble Wrap 2.0 is officially a go with the Vice President of the United States as she begins her campaign.
I'll tell you what
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
We're aware, madam.
Getting coached to an exhaustive degree to where she's waking up and talking to like speech therapists and talking to people about dialect and talking to people about like how to give like oration coaches or whatever.
I didn't know she was black.
Me neither, Donald. Me neither.
Like some acting classes. She's getting the prime in her is what they're doing.
You think that's it? You think that's what it is?
Yeah, they're like, you just go over there and do that, and you got to come back a whole different person.
I think they're doing this. I think they're doing this on purpose, and I'm going to tell you why.
Watch, it's going to be all of a sudden she's going to come out again. Watch, she's going to look 10 years younger. It's going to be a whole rebrand. She's going to talk different. I'm telling you.
Is she going to look like she did when she was with Montel?
And this isn't.
I'm going to tell you right now, she was a looker. You've seen that video, right?
Conspiracy. I'm not talking. No, I haven't. But like, this isn't like a conspiracy. Like, not a body double or something like that. It's just she's in the driver's seat, and she's got to learn how to handle this shit real quick. She's only got 3 months, and in that 3 months, she's got to start showing her face. It's game time. It's like prepping for the Super Bowl, just like a football player spend every single wake a moment.
I think it's only slightly deeper than that. I think this is actually an attempt to recreate what they did in 2020. And I'm going to tell you why. So I don't know if it's going to work because obviously in 2020 we had COVID and there was like a really legitimate excuse to just hide Biden and just let Trump hang himself. But it could work again, because if you keep Kamala away from saying stupid things, obviously she's not going to like black out in the middle of a speech like Joe Biden might, But she has been very, very prone to say dumb things. And yes, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Her laugh is fucking annoying.
Oh, he has a
It really
54%.
is annoying. Tim Walz?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty popular, and he's pretty popular in Minnesota.
1 out of 2 people like him.
I think they're hiding Kamala because Trump needs the ammo, right? Trump needs the ammo to be able to make those stump speeches where he's at his best. When he has ammo to use against his opponent, like recent ammo. Otherwise, he just says the same things over and over again, and it works with his base, but just keeping her hid away with her mouth shut, it honestly might work again. And I'm going to tell you another reason why I think that's true. Donald Trump, while I still think if the election were next week, he would win, it really is getting closer.
Yeah.
It's getting closer because there is this weird air of panic in the Trump campaign right now. Like, they can't figure out how to attack Kamala. They can't figure out which angle to go at her from. I mean, we know the angle. It's pretty simple. She's a fucking cop who puts black people in prison and keeps them there for free labor. Real simple fucking critique of Kamala Harris right there that you could use over and over again. But you can see it in the interviews that he's done, in the speeches that he's given. You know, it's all about her identity and her continuation of the Biden administration. And it's resonating with his base, as you would expect it would, but it's not resonating with anybody in the middle. And there is a small air of panic in the Trump campaign right now. They won't admit it, but it's there. And I feel, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before I let you go, Corey. If Trump loses this election, this is an election that a month ago, when we were talking, was a slam dunk for Donald Trump when Biden was still in the race. We were talking about this being an 2008 Obama level, just jail sexing.
Yeah.
And now, if he loses this election, it's going to be because he lost it. It's not going to be because the Kamala campaign won it.
Yeah, it's his to lose.
I firmly believe that.
I do too. It really is. Right now, it's his to lose.
And he's doing a real good job early on. A lot can change in 3 months. A lot can change.
Yeah.
They're going to have to debate. She's going to have to do real. Yeah.
Coronation is, when she pops up.
Well, I thought
it's going to be the most polished Kamala Harris you've ever seen.
You think so? You think she's going to stop giggling? Because it's fucking weird when she giggles, man.
I don't know how long this, it could be a nice shiny Emerald tire going down a city street that was just street swept, or it could be going down a fucking dirt road and it gets dirty real quick. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm telling you, when she first comes out, it's going to be like, what the fuck? But then the next day we might be, there it is. Might not. Who knows? She's probably got a team, dude. A team showing her, training her better on teleprompters with making less eye contact. Like, all the subtle little things. How to dress more fashion. You know what I mean? Like, she got a $200 million war chest. They're investing in their fucking, they're going to do everything they can to help their investment.
So should Trump lose this election, what's the reaction from not only the Trump team but the Trump supporters? Because I think I know exactly what it is.
Oh man, it depends. It depends.
They cheated.
It depends if the SAVE Act passes or not.
Corey, they cheated because they swapped out the candidate at the last minute. That's going to be what it is.
Right.
That's going to be the excuse.
But
honestly, not technically cheating, but I guess I actually kind of get the gripe. I get the gripe from Trump in that situation.
If the SAVE Act passes, though, the Secure American Voting, what's that stand for? The Secure America Voting, forget what the E is, but it's basically to secure a whole federal voting system to where non-citizens can vote, but also give more but also helps actually bolster mail-in voting, helps people with disabilities to people so they can vote. It's different things like that. It's a good voting act. You know, we have a little bit of a problem. I don't know if you guys heard on our southern border. of people crossing it at a pretty sufficient rate. And
Double Tamp wants to know how badly polished is JD or was JD Vance. Honestly, JD Vance is a pretty articulate guy.
Yeah, he went to Yale. He had a book come out. He he's been on the speaking tours for a while. He knows how to work the social media. He's
super. His biggest downfall is that he's hyper online. He's not a stupid person. He's actually quite bright. He's actually quite intelligent. He is just lost.
Allegedly.
Well, maybe that's what got him the brains. You just got to fuck a couch and you can figure it all out.
Dan, let me tell you, I fucked a lot of couches in my day. No, I'm just kidding.
His problem is that he's said a lot of things that are not great toward women, particularly childless women.
Yeah. They don't look like my couch. I want them.
That's a drop. Thank you, JD. You sounded just like JD Vance.
Did he? I couldn't even.
No,
if I heard
JD Vance. By the way, JD Vance is like right up the road right now from us right now.
That's right, he is, isn't he?
Actually, he might have left.
Right up at Gardner White.
He's up at Gardner White checking out the sofas.
For those who don't know, that's a local furniture chain.
Oh man, that's funny. Gardner White. We're known by the money you keep.
It's funny. The bell just like left the stream. He's gone.
Yeah, he's gonna go. He's like speaking. Yeah, he's gonna go catch up with JD.
You went to go meet up with JD Vance and Gardner White.
Yeah. Quick.
They said he was only there for 2 seconds.
Yeah. So he made a statement.
Bell's on a roll tonight.
He made a statement on social media or like on a cable news network where he said something like these. What did he say? A lot of these liberals, or how did he put it?
So what he said was, he basically thinks that childless people should pay more taxes than people with children. Now, they kind of already do. They kind of already do.
Or like the saddest people. Because I think what he says, like the saddest people are all childless cat people or something like that. We have all these women are doing something and they're all childless cat ladies or something like that.
We have a nation run by childless cat ladies. But he also made the suggestion that people that don't have children should pay more in taxes. And my wife and I don't have kids. We do pay more in taxes because there's a thing called the child tax credit where you get money taken off of your taxes.
Yeah, you technically pay $2,000 more in taxes than me.
Yeah. And so that's already a thing. But by the way, if you're going to be the small government party, which the Republicans are supposed to be, you should be rooting for everybody to pay less taxes. Right. You fucking asshole.
Because I promise you, let me ask you this, Dan. You are childless parents right now. And you're trying to set up your future, and using your exponential income to do investments and things like that. Why would he think it's a good idea to take that money away from you to give it to the government when it's your own money and you could be putting it away for a newborn baby fund?
Kind of sounds like socialism.
Right.
We have to stay woke.
Because they think that you can a childless tax that right there is literally him wanting to say that the government thinks you're reckless for not having kids. So we need to take some of your money because we'll be more responsible with it. And he fucks couches.
You really can't let that one go. That's just a rumor, right?
It's so dumb. I know. That's why I keep saying allegedly every time.
What's so funny about that? It wasn't.
It's so usually like remember now. So I don't follow JD Vance as much as I follow RFK. But if I know anything about smear campaigns and smear tactics, I saw it with Tulsi, and I'm seeing it with JFK. Like silly bullshit things.
RFK.
Like the bear thing or him eating a barbecued goat. They don't have shit on him. So they're literally picking shit up off the street and whipping it at him. You know what I mean?
It's
They're
interesting.
trying to
It's
cover
interesting
him.
that they don't have anything on him because he's a fucking Kennedy. You
Right.
think they would
It's
have
all
something on him?
it's all bullshit. Like everyone's like, oh, he put a bear in Central Park. It's like, okay. Fucking Biden, was a part of the Obama administration when they bombed weddings. He was a big part of them bailing out the banks while millions of Americans lost their homes. He was a part of the same Obama administration that helped facilitate the poisoning of Flint. Like, like he did that shit. He advocated for war. He was all about Iraq. He was a part of the 1994 crime bill that locked up millions of black people.
And Kamala,
but God damn it,
help keep those black men in prison.
Right, for her private prisons.
I was reading an
and then
article-
Trump only has 4 years, so his list isn't as long. But the
Go ahead, Bill.
inflation thing. Go ahead.
I was just reading an article about Tim Walz. Apparently, so George Floyd was killed in his state, and when Kamala announced that he was his running mate, that everybody rushed to trash him naturally.
Mm-hmm.
He allowed rioters to burn down the streets of Minneapolis, J.D. Vance said on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
But at the time, Trump expressed support for Walz's handling of the protests, according to a recording of a phone call obtained by ABC News, telling a group of governors that Walz dominated and praising his leadership as an example for other states to follow. I know Governor Walz is on the phone, and we spoke, and I fully agree with the way he handled it the last couple of days. He called Walz an excellent guy. I was very happy with the last couple of days, Tim. Trump continued. You called up big numbers, and big numbers knocked him out fast like it was bowling pins.
You know who also
New York, New Jersey talk from fucking
even
Trump.
if what Bell just said wasn't true, I find it interesting that the running mate for Donald Trump would say that it's unacceptable that a governor waited too long to call in a National Guard for a riot. Where have we seen that before? Where else did that happen?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. You mean January 6th?
Capitol, January 6th. Interesting how that works. It's
Funny-
what I'm saying. Like
funny
these things can be thrown at both sides every single fucking time.
That basically sums up the whole premise of our show, right? Just try to basically just let people know it's just absurd, and we should do better.
See, he did,
and we hate it.
He did wait to call in the National Guard, but Trump on the phone call was being arrogant, and he was like, "It was because of me that you called the National Guard finally." It's just it's stupid.
It's so stupid.
It's so
just
stupid.
dumb. I hate it here.
Donald Trump is
I
a
love
bad guy. He's a bad person.
Come back to the fold. Britain wants you.
No, I like my liberty too much.
That's something that's interesting. Something interesting to talk about. Want to talk about the Olympics?
Sure, the culture wars at the Olympics.
Let's start off.
How do you pronounce? First of all, can we start off with like the lesser of the things that are super crazy culture war-y? Can we talk about the fact that the Olympic Village is an absolute fucking homeless town shit show? Have you heard this?
I haven't,
Yes.
but you know what? You hear this every single fucking time,
dude. But they won't. They wouldn't.
Remember when it was Russia? Remember when
100 degrees.
every country, everyone's always bitching about it.
It's 100 degrees. They won't provide AC in the name of climate change.
Well,
no AC at the Olympic Village.
And I bet you Quick Double Tap will agree with me. Like AC, I think in France, especially AC, a lot of places there don't have AC here. They just don't.
Understood.
It's not nearly as hot over there as it is here.
Understood. Then you shouldn't have the Olympic Games in your country.
Wait, it's France. Is it 100 degrees Celsius?
No,
Europe?
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm teasing.
But yeah, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, no AC, and they're not providing. They weren't providing legitimate meals to the athletes with meat proteins in the name of, you guessed it, climate change.
Is this you're dead ass right now?
Yes, the meals are shit because They weren't providing nearly enough meat
just put up
protein
some streetlights. Feed them some bugs.
to the athletes. There was one guy who went and slept in a park because it was too fucking hot at the Olympic Village. Like, yeah, it's all in the name of climate change. As if an Olympic Games, like if you're that worried about climate change,
but they had that
in your
torch
own
stick for
country
so long.
Yeah, right. That how much carbon came off of that thing?
Mm.
It's don't have the Olympic Games then. This is like basic stuff.
Well, here's the thing, Dan. Here's the thing. You get bidded out for the Olympic Games, what, like 15 years in the future or whatever? Like it's like what, decades before you get before you get to say it's yours.
I don't know what I don't know how far out.
Like
the
like
IOC
like I
does it,
think
but yeah, it's like
the next
they're
one
like
coming
5
here.
or 7 games out or something like that. It's coming here
The next one here, right? Is the next one coming here? Right, but like the bid,
2028 is in LA, I believe.
Nice. I would love to see one like in a Detroit, Canada, collaboration. I always thought that'd be pretty cool because like between the two, there's enough infrastructure, enough stadiums, enough everything. They wouldn't have to like build some bullshit ass tent shit and have some third world country. It would make both those cities fucking shine.
Well, that happened in France. That happened in that's happened a few times. But yeah, the issue that you end up having is when you have these countries that don't have all of the infrastructure and stadiums already built, that it just ends up being a fucking ghost town afterwards. So France is using already existing infrastructure for the games. They're not building. They didn't build for it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Between Detroit and Ontario or Windsor, they would be able to do the exact same thing.
Corey, the Olympic Games is not coming to Detroit.
It might, and I don't know, maybe like 50 years. That'd just be kind of cool.
Tell you, a city of 650,000 and shrinking. Actually, no.
It went up.
It did go up for the first time since it did go up for the first time since like 1986.
Dude, it's not pretty, but it's definitely on the rebound. It took about 50 years of decline before it hit its trough. And it's probably gonna take 50 years to get out, unfortunately, but
maybe we'll be Pittsburgh soon.
I think it's a very rude introduction.
Dude, I'm telling you, like Detroit outshines a place like Portland, it rivals Chicago. Like it's smaller. It's way smaller.
We're not talking about Portland again. We can talk about it when you come back.
I'm gonna have a blast out there. It's still a fun time. I recommend
don't think he
going.
knows what he said either.
Just wear your galoshes. Terrible AC, he said.
Yeah, in France, the south of France. Yeah, so the Olympic culture wars, that's probably the smaller of the two, and then obviously we have this
and then also I thought it was interesting because in America with the outrage, I'm curious, I bet you all of the other news outlets, the Olympics are normal to everyone else. In the rest of the world, because the whole world's watching. I bet you the Olympics are pretty just like normal run of the mill, just coverage of the Olympics, like we've seen our entire childhood and our entire life. Yeah. But here it's just fucking going ape shit bonkers. Quick double tap since you're over across the pond. If you could answer, how is the media? Is there outrage in your guys' media like there is here about the Olympics? Because then there was the beheading thing of Queen Antoinette, right? Queen Marie Antoinette.
Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, he goes, yep, normal. their coverage is, oh yeah, these guys won medals. These guys won medals.
He was kidding. He said nope.
Oh. But then everyone forgets that like France is known for just fucking going ape shit and killing their leader or whatever. That's why they're always rioting. They still do it. They have they're always over there fucking around and getting pissed off at their government.
Just fucking around.
But their opening, they had that metal band playing, and they had Queen Antoinette be headless, like singing some part in the beginning of it, and that's France. It's just like basically like reminding everyone we decapitated our king or queen at the time. Wasn't she the last one of royalty before the revolution?
Yes.
That's what that's and we didn't bail them out. They asked for our help. When they went, I think is after the revolution, I think they went back to war with Great Britain, right? Or maybe it was Spain. They went to war with somebody.
There was the Napoleonic age following that after Robespierre got beheaded.
Well, right
come on,
after,
learn your European history.
No, I'm telling you, right after America became a country, there was the French Revolution, and then France came back to us and asked us to help them.
Right,
but
the crown.
We nullified that contract because we said that we made that contract with the previous crown, not that crown.
Yeah,
and that we couldn't.
There was the Robespierre era where the French couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. A similar thing happened in Russia in 1917, and then Napoleon took over. There we go. I cleared it up for you.
Yeah, you brought it to, yeah.
The bigger culture war was obviously this boxing controversy with how do you pronounce this woman's name? Is it Aman Khalif?
I think so.
Amani Khalif, something like that.
Amin
Khalif. So right away, and quick double tap will appreciate this. As soon as this young Italian boxer bows out against Khalif, who takes to Twitter faster than J.K. Rowling? And I love J.K. Rowling, and I've always been in support of her. I'm a Potter fan. You know this.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling has been under fire for a little bit. She likes to speak her mind on Twitter.
She just spoke way too fast this time. Like, I understand what she's going for, standing up for women's rights. I appreciate everything that she's been going after, but like, she took to Twitter way too fucking fast.
Yeah, kind of got
this one
caught in her mouth
because everybody jumped on board that a male boxer made it to the Olympics and beat a woman, even though she's been beaten. Even though it turns out that this person, this Aman Khalif of where's she from? Algeria. It looks like she's actually probably a woman.
Yeah.
With either Zweier's syndrome or some sort of hormonal issue that, makes her look really masculine and makes her stronger than most other women. But you have the right going, a man beat up a woman. Like, no,
that's
dude, this is
inaccurate.
This is the thing that you were fighting for. This is the thing that you were fighting for was biological women fighting biological women in sport. Not, I shouldn't just say fighting because it's not just about boxing, but any other sport.
Right.
This is what you wanted. This is what you're getting, and you're still not happy with it.
Yeah.
And it turns out that apparently she did some sort of genetic test with what the hell is the acronym? I had it in front of me. The acronym, it was run by the Russians in some sort of international competition, and they banned her.
It was like IBS, right?
Something like that. Irritable bowel syndrome. That sounds about right. So
yeah, it was run by mobsters.
Yeah, it was an incredibly corrupt organization that wanted to get this woman out of these fights because she might beat Russian fighters. That's what this appears to be.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah. That's even if she has, and like, if the XY chromosome thing is legit, that's what that means, that she had the Dyer syndrome. If it's XX, then it was a corrupt IBS system.
Oh man. I don't think we've ever gotten the immediate comments like we did when we commented on one of Matt Walsh's posts the other day. 94 comments inside of 20 minutes because Matt Walsh had to put out DNA tests are objective. You either have a Y chromosome or you don't. Well, yeah, that's true. You either do or you don't. But I proceeded to say, I spoke for us in this one. I said, look up Zweier's syndrome, bro.
Hey, I'm going to go check on my kid real quick.
Sure. Not saying that the boxer had it or has it, but it means in very rare cases, one can have XY chromosomes and legitimately be female. This was a syndrome discovered in 1955, so it's not some new woke disease. And oh my God, did the Daily Wire crowd and the Matt Walsh crowd come after me super, super fast. From Niall. There ain't no such thing as a female with a Y chromosome, buddy. I just pictured this person being from Oklahoma. To which I responded, that's correct, unless that female has Swire syndrome. What else? Here we go. From Craig. Doesn't matter. The amount of testosterone she receives from being XY gives her an unfair advantage and therefore should disqualify her from competing, just like a female found to have been using steroids. To which I responded, okay, don't necessarily disagree, but that's not the topic at hand. You know, some people can never stay on topic.
Yeah.
I never thing is, like, I never said whether or not I thought she should or shouldn't be able to compete, because that's not what's coming from places like the Daily Wire. What's coming out is a man fought and beat up a woman, and their followers believe that shit. They believe it. So that was kind of what I went up against. And I said, totally fair opinion, Craig, as a matter of athletics, as long as we understand that in rare cases, women can have a Y chromosome. Either that or men can get pregnant also in rare cases, because apparently folks with Swire syndrome, there is a possibility they can get pregnant. They don't have functioning ovaries. But with IVF, it's possible. Hold on. There's another really good one. Tiny Toy said, hold on. I hate fucking Facebook, man. They're always out of order.
That you got to go up to the top and hit all comments, not most relevant. I
did, but it just always reverts back on my
you?
No, I did. Here's what Tiny Toy said. They most likely can't carry because any female internal organ that they may have are typically hypoplastic. He obviously spent way too much time researching this after my and if they have ovaries, they're infertile. XY is a male, no matter how you spin it. XY Zwire people are usually identified as female at birth because they lack male external genitals, and hypoplastic infertile female organs lack breasts. An incorrect identity doesn't change their DNA. So I responded with this. I said, okay, so what you're saying is that some men have uteruses.
Yeah, it's your classic goalpost moving, you know. It's
So you're saying some men have uteruses. That's exactly what he just admitted.
Yeah, and it was funny because I was listening to Breaking Points today, and then they were talking about the XY chromosome thing, you know, Sagar and Crystal. And then one of them asked, like, can you think it could be the opposite for boys? And then Sagar goes, I don't know. And I was like, De La Chappelle syndrome. Like I looked that up, like, because in full disclosure, when I first saw this, I took the bait. I was like,
so did I.
Yeah, because you texted me.
He does
you
look
were
like a dude.
You're about 3 hours behind me. I just got done doing all my research on it and like trying to like process it and really figure this out. Like, so like, how far down the line are we going to split hairs? We're talking about a thing that has the most elite athletes. All of them are sort of freakish in their own right. I don't mean that any negative thing. Someone that can run faster than anyone else in the entire fucking world is freakish.
Yeah.
If you could swim at like
Michael Phelps has a couple of different what are
like he's got double jointed ankles and an extra long arm span. Like, so now is he disqualified? Like, we're just gonna dumb down. Like, we're talking about doing the same thing that we've done to the American education system. Instead of trying to raise the bar and help people to get up, we're lowering the bar so that way they can pass the standards. And like, is that what we're talking about doing for the Olympics? Like, are we neoliberalizing the Olympics right now? Is that's what's happening from the right?
Yeah, maybe. That's an interesting way to put it. And the interesting thing about it is that this Amani Khalif person has lost to women before.
Yeah, a bunch of Irish.
It's not like she
wins
Irish every time. Yeah, it's not like she wins every time. Yeah, a couple Irish girls beat her, and then she's lost a few different times. She's fighting for the gold medal though. In fact, that may
Yeah.
have already happened. I don't even know. I wasn't paying close.
But
attention
yeah,
to
no,
the
she lost
Olympics.
to a couple different Irish girls.
And the other thing that I look at is like,
I'm proud of that. You know, you should
is
be
this
too.
I am. Is this a boy who cried wolf situation now too? Because
Well, no, because the girl came on.
No, hold on.
For...
No, that's not what I mean. What I
Oh.
mean is that the cultural progressive left has made gender issues such a huge thing.
So toxic.
There's just been such this unbelievable pushback from conservatives that now I think you kind of have to give progressives a little bit of the blame on this because they're the ones that made this such a big deal to start with.
I don't blame the progressives as much as I blame the Asians who are grifting off of a to make a quick buck. Right about that versus fighting about them using slave labor basically in their stores, because our government is set up to like supplement anyone who doesn't make enough money, so these big corporations can afford to pay people low wages, and so then people don't pay attention to them using like literal like child labor and stuff on the little islands and like Haiti and stuff like that.
I really don't know
It's
what he
way
said at the end of
easier
that
to have.
sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Okay, too long, didn't read. It's way easier for corporations to use a movement like the LGBTQ movement instead of everyone arguing over them paying people too little money. Use it like dangling keys, and you get them to argue about the LGBTQ stuff. But that boiled over. It was like a pot boiled over. But
no, that started in institutions first, though, before it got to the corporations.
Do you think so?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah,
a
lot of the movement
starts
started
in the institutions. Everything starts in the institutions. And Quick Double Tap says that he thinks that that the right has gone loopy over it, and he's absolutely 100% correct. Like it's this whole
exactly. Yeah, he gets what I'm saying.
Reaction to reaction on top of reaction on top of reaction on top of reaction. But it did start. It started from, I don't know a better way to put it, so I'm just going to say like the Jordan Peterson Marxist left, cultural Marxist left.
Yeah, right around like 2012, 2013, you're talking. Same around time social media got started and stuff like that. Well, that's like when people started to see the fruition and it being kicked off and stuff like that. But that goes back to because all the schools, you have to pay so much money to be there that they cater to the students because they want the students to stay there so they can get that money. Like it's just, you know what I mean? It's a big rigmarole of a pretzel of a fucked up mess.
It's just another example of identity politics getting way too fucking out of hand.
Hey, thanks for pulling me out of that pretzel.
You're welcome. You're very,
that's basically
welcome.
what I'm saying. But yeah, no, it got hyperdrived when the corporations were using it to just pander to make themselves look good.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. The right didn't really go hard in the paint until the corporations started doing it. You're kind of right about that.
That's what I mean. That's when it kicked off. Yeah, sure.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, when the corporations started doing it is when everyone
just
got
took you
pissed
16 fucking minutes to say it, but I got you now.
Yeah, it's kind of what I said in the beginning. That's what I said.
I didn't know she was black.
And then I went into my.
I think it's a very rude introduction.
It's just bullshit.
Oh my God, did you see Morning Joe fucking in tears over the Tim Walz selection?
Was he happy or sad?
Should have been Ben Shapiro. Oh my God. Yeah. Did I say Ben Shapiro? I meant Josh Shapiro. That would be great if it was Ben Shapiro. A Kamala Harris, Ben Shapiro ticket for president. That would have been good. Oh man. What else do we have, Corey? What did I miss? I know we missed something here.
I'm trying to think. How about that guy? We're talking about the Olympics, so how about that guy from Turkey? Did you see the memes for him? The shooter?
Yeah, but I don't get it.
I think he's an assassin.
I
think he's just a Turkish assassin that went there because, well, I'm just joking about that part.
So he wasn't the guy on the roof that was shooting Trump.
No, he was in Turkey.
You didn't get the joke.
That'd be a really good shot. If it was him, he probably would have made that shot.
That's why I said it wasn't him.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't.
We know for sure.
I didn't know she was black.
Because Dan, I don't know if you heard this, but that guy's dead.
Allegedly.
He got shot.
Where's that conspiracy theory that the shooter actually survived?
I don't know. I think that goes out the window. Like his brains went out of his head.
Doesn't mean anything, dude. This is America in 2024. There's a conspiracy theory about everything. And some of them are true, but we can't decipher which ones are which because there's so many of them.
But yeah, then
the prisoner swap.
Yeah, there's the prisoner swap, and then I got to.
You don't know about here. You don't know a lot about this one.
Don't know dick about this prisoner swap.
But so what I love about this is, first of all, the fact that nobody bitched about it. Nobody bitched about, like, why did Biden give up these people only for these people? And they remember last time there was a prisoner swap because we what was the guy's name we gave up to Putin, the assassin guy or whatever? It was like this huge.
He wasn't.
I can't remember.
He was a gun trafficker.
A guns trafficker. That's right. But there was this whole big fucking deal. Oh, it's because it was for Brittany Griner. That's why the right was freaking out about it, not because of who we gave up, but because of who we got back. Let's be honest. That's exactly why they were pissed.
But that goes back to identity politics and like really, right. You're upset an American got brought home. It could be Alex Jones. It could be Marjorie Taylor Greene. And if she was a political prisoner in North Korea, we got her back. I'd be like, fuck yeah, that's good. You know, like she's an American.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I got to see more bathing suit photos.
Who, Alex Jones?
No. Well, that too. Those are just funny. But you remember MTG Loki baddie?
If you put a bag over your head, you said,
yeah, total butterface. But anyway, this time we get back like journalists, and particularly what was his name, Evan Gershkovich from the Wall Street Journal, who's been in the news after being captured for trying to cover Ukraine. And the best thing about this is that before he left, Evan Gershkovich in his sign-out papers asked Vladimir Putin for an interview. How fucking badass is that? He hadn't been released yet, but in his like release papers before he came back, he asked Vladimir Putin for an interview.
Yeah, which one was that one again? His name was
Evan Gershkovich.
That'll be interesting. I hope he gets it. That'd be cool. I don't know where they would meet. He'd have to go back to Russia. What if he got arrested again?
He's not going to get it. He was basically, he wrote it on his fucking release papers as a fuck you to Vladimir Putin is what he did. That's all it was. He's not going to get it. Putin doesn't speak to the Western media unless it's Tucker Carlson.
Which was weird.
Yeah, it was still weird.
I'd like to see one with Matt Taibbi, but Matt Taibbi speaking Russian. And then him bringing that tape back and then translating it. I guess he has a new podcast.
Oh, the other thing. Apparently, and this is actually the more interesting part. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you about the new podcast part. Alexei Navalny was supposed to be a part of this original prisoner swap, which started back in February. And a couple of weeks later, Navalny ends up dead.
And they were just like, oh, sorry. I mean, we can send him back to you in a box, but
no, but like, isn't that Putin going, fuck it, we'll just kill him so we don't have to release him and we don't have to negotiate this anymore?
Yeah, he goes, this will complicate it.
Yeah, and just takes him out. I found that part interesting, which is probably why this prisoner swap took longer than it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Because originally Alexei Navalny was a part of that negotiation. I found that part remarkably interesting. The only other thing we have, Corey, is that the stock market.
I also want to say that prisoner swaps also, it's just
nobody gets them right.
No, it's a little bit refreshing to see that there's still, like, even with all the bluster, because you know that both sides are playing up the whole like Russia America aggression. Probably 1 to 2, at least in the very least, 1 to 2 notches higher than what it actually is, just for the clickbait. You know what I mean? Like headlines it's really easy to just make a headline where you could say like tensions are getting higher between Russia and America, and you just put war is closer. You know what I mean? To where it's like, yeah, tensions might have ratcheted up, but our media makes it seem like it's way worse than it is, to the point to where we're still, even though we're close to World War III, we're still swapping prisoners. Like if there was honest intention of either of them nuking each other, do you think they'd be arguing about a couple of journalists?
Yeah, and honestly, just to piggyback on what you just said,
like, don't get me wrong, it could happen, but I don't think it's as close as they try to make it.
Put yourself in the shoes of just Vladimir Putin for a second, and think about it in the context of being, you know, an American leader, the president, or somebody high up in the government. You're doing the same thing if you're Vladimir Putin that higher ups in the American government are doing here. You're going, oh man, those horrible, evil Americans, they're going to take away your
100%.
leader in your country. Like, they're fear mongering us over there too. Why wouldn't you? The same shit that we do over here. Like, it's, yeah.
And that's why you got to pay attention. And that's one thing they get to really pay attention to, right? When either country makes a press release regarding the other, look at the original language, or look at the languages it was released in. Because sometimes China, sometimes Russia, they'll release things in English. That's not for Russia, that's not for China, that's for you, and vice versa. So it's just basic manufacturing consent, you know, what's his name? Noam Chomsky. It's just there's tactics. You have to lead a nation effectively, you have to like try to, you know, like a mob duck does. Keep them in line a little bit, and you do what you can. You do your tactics, and it's just. I've been drinking these Voodoo Rangers, and I know I'm a little inebriated because I'm moving around a lot.
And you have to take care of a small child. Luckily, he can mostly take care of himself now. I was gonna say, luckily, he can mostly take care of himself now.
Breastfeeding is so dangerous when you're drinking beer.
I'm gonna give it my best shot, Dan or Belle.
We have to stay woke.
I am. I nurse for 8 goddamn hours. Nothing comes out.
The only two things we didn't get to was the stock market crash on Monday, where everybody became an economist for a day again. That was fun.
Yeah.
You love how that always happens?
Yeah, no, it's just like, remember when the stock market crashed under Trump, when everything shut down and the Democrats were like, see? Now it's
it was never Biden. It's never the simple explanation, right? So Trump called it the Kamala crash, even though she's not the fucking president of the United States. So that was funny. But also, it's like there was a bad jobs report, and tech companies
unemployment went up,
and tech companies were overvaluated.
Yeah, the tech company overvaluated was the big thing, right? Because like the reason why the Dow and the Nasdaq, or not the Dow, but like the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq were all skyrocketing, it wasn't because all of the companies that are in them were doing good. It's just the big ones, Meta, Google, you know, all of those,
Apple,
like Apple, they were all doing really, really, really well, pulling the weight of all the other ones along.
Well, no, and it even goes a little bit deeper than that, which is the fact that Nvidia is the one at the top, and they're behind on their chip manufacturing. Which, guess what? That's hurting Apple. That's hurting Microsoft.
Yeah,
like there is a legitimate explanation for like the sudden downturn. It doesn't mean that it's nothing. Like, more could come, but it's not time to panic yet, is what I would say.
And so what you saw was when it, like, because it's already starting to stabilize, right? Like, it wasn't a huge crash. Like the markets, it seems a little bit more bearish than bullish, but it
was the biggest percentage drop since Black Monday in 1987.
Right.
Like, it was not a small thing.
Right, but it didn't keep dropping. We didn't have to shut our markets down. Like during COVID, we had to shut our markets down. Japan just now had to shut our markets down.
To quick double taps point, the crypto markets, a lot of those did. A lot of those had to shut themselves down.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that they had circuit breakers on those. But like other things like didn't lose value as much, and I think they like a part of it is you saw like you saw some of the money getting either pulled out and put into cash or getting just thrown and diversified.
Japan pushing interest rates on people trading in yen too. That was another big one.
Yeah, and the U.S. employment. So the U.S. employment one, that one's tricky.
Yeah, the jobs report was shit.
Right.
It was
the jobs report,
good.
new jobs created report was shit, sure. But the unemployment rate, that one is tricky because, well, I don't know how they do it in the UK, quick double tap, but here in America, if you don't get a job after looking for 6 months, you fall out of the pool for unemployment. In America, the unemployment is only people actively looking for a job. So if you're retired, you're not a part of it. Like if you're a kid, you're not a part of it, obviously. But like if you're not looking for a job, and there's millions of Americans, because the worker participation rate in America is only at like 65%. Now the 40% does include like old people and children and stuff, but that's a big chunk of Americans that aren't working. And that's even including disability and all. That's a huge chunk of Americans that aren't working. That is a number that's a lot fucking higher than 4%. But if people from that pool all of a sudden decide to start looking for jobs, you could double unemployment in America overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Boom. Unemployment's doubled. If all of a sudden half of the people that, you know what I mean? You get what I mean.
Well, they would get jobs at this point.
Well, they would get jobs, sure, but the unemployment rate would be double. Like if everyone who isn't actively looking for a job all of a sudden tomorrow decide to actively look for a job, unemployment would probably spike to like 10%.
Yeah, but jobs reports don't come out every day.
No, and unemployment rates don't either. But what I'm saying is, if you pulled all those people into actively searching for a job, unemployment rate would probably jump to like 8-9%, maybe 10%.
I don't know. We got to go.
It's just a number that's just funky, just like everything else. Just like when inflation is sometimes rated on the core interest rate,
They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it.
Thank you, Madam Vice President.
The index prices, right? It's the core interest prices or core index prices, then regular index prices.
Stuff that we don't actually understand. Let's be honest.
But
I know it a bit.
I bet you can these Voodoo Ranger Juice Force IPAs, and they're 9.5%. I didn't realize that until I was into my second one.
Well, you could have slowed down and you didn't. That's
I'm
all
still on my second one.
Ridiculous.
No, you know what, Bell? You're ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't deny it.
I'm sorry.
Your face
I'm
is
drinking
ridiculous.
Yingling.
I know.
Happy about it.
We don't have that here.
I think it's a very rude introduction.
You can buy it 3 hours south of us, but you can't buy it here because their distributors don't deliver here.
Who smuggled it?
Nobody's ever been hit like that.
Anyway, tell the people where they could find us, Corey. We can get done with this disaster of a show.
All right, Dan. The Absurdtive Podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibServativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at LibServativePodcast. And you could reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah. Okay.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the
You'll know you did.
Okay. For Bell the Body Snatcher, he as always has been Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
It's been Libservative Intellectual Idiots fostering political and cultural literacy. And until next time, we are